Lisa drops a confidential file, exposing the prosecutor's dark past. The room gasps as his career collapses. But this victory is just the beginning. What happens next will leave you stunned. The courtroom is still, the air heavy with anticipation, as Gregory Moore, a seasoned prosecutor whose presence commands the room, steps forward. His eyes lock onto Lisa Johnson, the defendant, as he prepares to launch his assault. His voice, low and controlled, carries an edge, meant to penetrate the silence and ripple through the hearts of everyone present. Lisa's gaze is unwavering. At 25, she has already built a reputation as a dedicated community advocate, someone who has poured herself into causes far greater than any personal gain. Her charity work, her tireless efforts to support underprivileged families, her very presence in this courtroom, all of it now twisted into the very thing she has fought against: accusation, scandal, vilification. And yet, despite the venom in Gregory's words, she remains unmoved, her arms crossed, her posture as composed as her mind. Her heart might race, but on the surface, it's business as usual. "Worthless," Gregory says, his words deliberately sharp. His sneer is calculated, the kind of mockery meant to strip away dignity and shred reputation. Every syllable is a slashing blow, designed to make Lisa seem unworthy, undeserving of the faith the community had placed in her. He speaks of fraudulent funds, of misappropriated donations, painting her as a thief in front of the jury, a stark contrast to the image of compassion she has carefully cultivated. Lisa listens, her face betraying nothing, though each word lands like a stone dropped into water, creating ripples beneath the surface. She can feel the weight of the accusations pressing against her, but rather than crumbling beneath them, her focus sharpens. There is nothing here but lies, and she knows exactly how to silence them. Gregory's voice rises as he accuses her of exploiting the very people she vowed to protect. He mocks her every attempt to defend herself, digging deeper, trying to fracture her calm, to make her seem small, insignificant. Each insult is a calculated attempt to provoke her into reaction, to break her resolve. But Lisa, as always, remains steadfast. She is not a victim in this game. She is not the one on trial. Beneath the quiet composure, Lisa's mind drifts to the briefcase resting at her feet. Inside, hidden from the eyes of this courtroom, lies the key to everything. Evidence, documents, files that could bring an end to this farce and strip Gregory Moore of his professional life. She clutches the memory of them, the knowledge of their power, like a weapon concealed beneath her calm exterior. This is not just a legal battle, it's personal. The weight of the moment is undeniable, but Lisa is not one to fold under pressure. She has fought too long and too hard for her community, for truth, to let this go unanswered. The room may be filled with hostility, but her mind is clear. She will see this through. The defense attorney stands, a calm figure in the sea of tension, attempting to regain control of the room. He presents the first piece of evidence, a collection of photos, documents, and signed statements that prove Lisa Johnson's alibi. At the time the alleged fraud occurred, Lisa had been at a charity gala, a public event with dozens of witnesses who can attest to her presence. The defense highlights these facts, their tone steady, but the atmosphere remains thick with doubt. Gregory Moore, unshaken by the evidence, dismisses it with a wave of his hand, his gaze flickering with disdain. He rises from his seat and uses his imposing figure to fill the space between him and the defense table. His voice, steady but dripping with malice, cuts through the courtroom. Witnesses can be bought. Photos can be doctored. It's all part of the narrative Ms. Johnson is trying to spin to avoid the consequences of her actions, he says, his words coated with a venomous charm. Every attempt to deflect his accusations only seems to solidify his hold on the jury's perception. The judge, an elderly man with a reputation for strictness, watches with narrowed eyes. He shifts his gaze from the defense to Lisa, then to the prosecutor. His next words, laced with skepticism, land like a blow. "Ms. Johnson, your background has raised questions in this court. Your rise in the community, while impressive, leaves much to be questioned. Are you truly the person you present yourself to be?" The weight of the judge's insinuation presses heavily on her chest, but she remains seated, her posture firm, betraying no hint of her growing frustration. Lisa's frustration builds slowly, a tight coil of fury winding tighter inside her. Every word from Gregory feels like a punch, and the judge's passive acceptance of it only deepens the wound. She has fought for years, battling systemic barriers, discrimination, and doubt to get where she is. To have her character, her very identity, so casually dismissed by people who know nothing about her struggle stings more deeply than any accusation could. But as each word from Gregory chips away at her resolve, something inside her stirs. It's as if the fire she's fought to keep under control ignites, rising from the pit of her stomach to her chest, surging through her veins. She can feel it. The growing power that has always lived inside her, dormant, but never fully extinguished. This is not just a fight for her innocence. It is a fight for her dignity, her reputation, for everything she's worked for. Gregory goes in for the final blow, preparing to once again undermine her credibility, to paint her as a manipulator of truth. He steps forward, eyes locked on Lisa, and for a moment the world narrows. The room feels smaller, the voices quieter, and Lisa rises to her feet. She takes a deep breath, steadying herself, and in that stillness, she knows one thing with certainty. She will not let them define her any longer. With every inch she gains in standing, every breath she draws, she gathers strength. This will be her moment. She will make them see who she truly is. The tension in the courtroom is palpable, the weight of the moment settling over every inch of the room. Lisa stands tall, her pulse steady despite the storm raging within her. All eyes are fixed on her now as she takes the briefcase from the defense table. The briefcase, the key to everything. With a controlled motion, she unclamps the leather flap and slides it open. A thick file marked with bold, red letters, "Confidential," rests inside. Her fingers graze the surface of the file, and for a split second, she feels the weight of its contents. It's not just paper. It's her redemption, her weapon, the culmination of months of quiet, meticulous work. She lifts the file from the briefcase, the sound of it sliding across the table echoing like the ticking of a clock. The room falls even quieter, as if everyone knows, even before she places it down, that everything is about to change. Her hand hovers above the table for a moment, and then, with a simple motion, she drops it. The sound is sharp, definitive. The file lands with an unspoken declaration, a heavy thud that resonates in the stillness. A collective gasp ripples through the courtroom. The defense attorney's mouth falls slightly open. The prosecutor, Gregory Moore, freezes. He stares at the file for a moment as if he cannot comprehend what he's seeing. Lisa, however, is calm. Her chest rises and falls slowly, her breath steady, her gaze unwavering. She has spent months gathering the evidence hidden within that file. Months of tracking, of patient observation, of quietly compiling the dirt that would topple the man who had just tried to destroy her. The courtroom is alive with whispers now. Every pair of eyes in the room shifts from the file to Lisa and back again. Her hands, though steady, carry the weight of everything she silently endured. But she isn't intimidated by their gaze. She isn't shaken by the whispers that now fill the room. This is her moment. Lisa turns and walks with measured steps toward the judge's bench, her gaze fixed firmly on him. She places the file in front of him, her fingers not trembling, though her mind races. The judge, a man known for his hardline stance, hesitates only for a moment before he reaches for the file, his brow furrowing as he opens it. As the contents spill before him, the color drains from his face. The courtroom falls silent as he flips through the pages, his eyes flicking over the records, the damning details of Gregory's hidden past laid bare. His jaw tightens, the weight of the discovery settling on him. Then, without warning, the judge looks up, his voice cutting through the tension with startling clarity. A recess will be called immediately to investigate these new findings. His words hang in the air like a final verdict. Gregory Moore, once so sure of his power, his control, now appears pale. His hands, once steady as he launched his accusations, tremble as he grasps the sides of the podium. The realization hits him slowly at first, then all at once. Lisa's quiet strength, her careful calculations, have just dismantled everything he built. His career, his reputation, everything he's hidden behind for years is exposed in front of the very people he sought to control. For the first time, Gregory looks not at Lisa, but past her, as if seeing the room with new eyes, eyes that now recognize the scope of his failure. His bravado falters, his confident demeanor crumbling beneath the weight of Lisa's revelation. Lisa doesn't wait for him to respond, doesn't need to. The battle has been won. The courtroom, once a tense arena of accusation and judgment, now hums with a different kind of energy. The murmur of voices fills the air as the judge rises, his robes sweeping the floor as he makes his way to the bench. There is an air of finality in his movements, and when he speaks, his voice cuts through the noise like a clarion call. After reviewing the newly presented evidence, he begins, his tone unyielding. The charges against Ms. Lisa Johnson are hereby dropped. The evidence provided is irrefutable and demands immediate action. The words hang in the air, reverberating through the room, their weight settling into the hearts of those who've witnessed the trial. Lisa, sitting quietly, her hands folded neatly in her lap, feels the burden she's carried for so long begin to lift. She doesn't smile, doesn't leap from her seat in celebration. Instead, she exhales slowly, allowing the relief to settle into her bones, the tension that had held her rigid for days finally easing. Her fight, her personal battle against a corrupt system, has come to a momentous close. The judge's decision is a death knell for Gregory Moore. His once powerful figure, so full of control and conviction, now crumbles before the very people he sought to manipulate. The officers move in quickly, seizing him with the swift precision of an inevitability that had long been waiting to unfold. His face, once a mask of authority, now betrays shock and disbelief. The roar of voices in the courtroom rises in a crescendo, echoing the downfall of a man who thought himself untouchable. As Gregory is escorted out, his career lies in ruins, shattered like glass beneath the weight of truth. The gallery of onlookers watches, some in stunned silence, others with rising applause. Lisa's name rings through the air, the whispered gratitude of those who once doubted her now reverberating in the hollow of the courtroom. She's no longer the accused. She's a hero. But for Lisa, the moment of victory feels distant. It is important, yes, but it is not the end. It never was. She stands slowly, her movements deliberate, as if she's already preparing for the next battle. The media, sensing blood in the water, swarms her as she exits the courthouse, their cameras flashing and their questions ricocheting off the walls. "Ms. Johnson, how does it feel to have taken down one of the most powerful men in the system?" a reporter calls out. Lisa doesn't stop. She doesn't answer their questions, doesn't play into their spectacle. Instead, she walks with purpose, her eyes focused ahead, her posture unwavering. She knows the world is watching, but she's already thinking beyond the moment. This victory, hard won as it is just one chapter. The fight for justice, for truth, is far from over. With each step she takes, the weight of what's to come settles on her shoulders. But she welcomes it. After all, she's already proven that no matter how high the stakes, no matter how deep the corruption runs, she will always rise, always fight, and always find a way to expose the truth.